There you go. So my name is Vinayak Pal, and I was raised in the Bay Area by a single Indian mom. What that means is I go to her with all my problems, and she just makes things worse. You know, I'd be like, Ma, a lot of people are calling me fat. No, you're not fat. You just have a big appetite. Or I'd be like, Ma, a lot of people are calling me dumb. No, you are not dumb. You just want to be a comedian. Or I'd be like, Ma, a lot of people are calling me ugly. No, you are not ugly. You just look like your father. Now, I'm a Hindu. My mom raised me to be a Hindu, and thank you. When I have to explain Hinduism to people, I just say, look, we created yoga. So for all the men in the room, we created yoga pants. Lululemon, that's me, baby. A big part of Hinduism is we have a lot of gods, like 10 million of them. And I envy other religions with just one god. Because look, if a Christian screws up, that's just one slap to the face. Hindu screws up, that's 100 million slaps. And the worst part is, all my gods have 10 hands. I always found it fun when people asked me to swear to God in order to prove I was telling the truth. Like when I was a kid, I drew pictures of the Hindu gods every day at art class. And once I went to the restroom to take a break, I came back, my Muslim friend Ahmad was looking through all these pictures, and he's like, Vinayak, what are these? I was like, oh, they're pictures of God. He was furious, very upset. Because in Islam, you're not allowed to have pictures or idols of God whatsoever. He looked at me and said, hey, Vinayak, whoever drew these pictures, they're going to hell. Allah is going to send them to hell. I was scared. Very, very scared. He asked me, hey, so did you draw these pictures? Like, absolutely not. He asked me to swear to God. I swore to God. Then he starts to go around the whole classroom, tears every drawing he sees, breaks every crayon, pushes all the kids to the ground, and I could not handle it. I finally fessed up. I'm like, hey, Ahmad, it was me. I drew the pictures. And he was like, but Vinayak, you swore to God. I'm like, dude, I'm Hindu. You didn't ask me which God. And I also couldn't eat beef as a kid because cows are a sacred animal. And my mom explained to me that, you know, cows are holy. I was like, got it, cows are holy. I go to kindergarten for the first time, and all these white kids are saying, holy cows. I was like, oh, it's holy for you guys too? I go back home, Ma explains to me that cows are a spiritual animal as well. I was like, got it, spiritual. I go to the cafeteria the next day, and my buddy Alex is eating ground beef. I'm like, how can you eat spirituality? This must be what you call soul food. And then I go back home, and Ma's explaining to me how if I eat beef, I'm going to die. And I believe her completely. That night, I'm watching the TV. It's playing this one commercial over and over again. And I thought it was sponsoring the last meal for every prisoner. No, it's just Burger King. And I go to school again. And they're serving something in the cafeteria called a ham burger. And in my Hindu head, ham is not beef, I am good. I take a bite out of this thing. All my white friends are telling me it's beef. I am crying. Because I think I'm going to die. So I run to the principal's office. He's completely confused. Calls my mother up. She's like, what is going on? Ma, I ate beef. Why am I not dead yet? She's like, oh, I was just kidding. That was my first Santa Claus is not real moment. Now, making the move from the Bay Area to Los Angeles, there was a big culture shock that I experienced, which was everyone kept speaking Spanish to me. And it was the Mexicans who kept misbrowning me the most. Do you know how hard it is to tell brown people you're not their type of brown? The Mexicans here are like, yep, we know, bro. I was in a sandwich shop in downtown, run by Mexicans. I get my sandwich, go over to the cashier. He's like, hola, ¿cómo estás? My bro, I'm Indian. He was like, no. Dude, I'm Indian. He's like, no. I'm like, bro, I'm Indian. He's like, fine. You can be Indian today. But I'm gonna convert you. Like, what does that mean? He's like, oh, you're just gonna marry my sister. What? You're gonna give me your sister just like that? He's like, oh, don't worry, I got 10 more. Everyone talks about white privilege, but let me speak about brown privilege for a sec. Like, if any of you, if I had to owe money to any of you and you came up to me like, hey, don't you owe me some money? I could be like, sorry, no English. It works. An Indian guy comes up to me and says, hey, don't you owe me some money? I'm like, lo siento, señor, no entiendo inglés. Oh, I love LA. Crazy homeless issue over here, you know? Don't like it at all. When I first moved here, I didn't have a car. I had to take the bus or I had to walk to wherever I needed to go to. Now, if you ever taken public transit in this city, you know there's a line of homeless people just ready to talk to you at every spot. And I get off my bus. This one homeless guy was like, hey kid, you want to know how to invest in real estate? I was like, absolutely. I want to know your advice. He was like, don't live in whatever you invest in. It's like, got it, don't live in whatever I invest in. He was like, yeah, you see I did that whole adopt a highway shit and look at me. Now, like, being raised by a single mom in the Indian community is like a big deal. We don't divorce. It's not our thing. I was the only kid in my neighborhood, my school, without a father, because it's very Asian Indian over there. And how that translated into my childhood was, I was the only kid who would get picked up by a babysitter, and all the dads would pick up their sons. And finally, I asked my babysitter, Allison, I'm like, Allison, where is my dad? And she looks at me and says, Vinayak, you do not need a father in your life. You have very strong female figures to support you. I was like, okay, cool, guess I don't need a dad. Right when we have this conversation, she gets a flat tire. So we both get out of the car, check out the flat. I'm like, Allison, do you know how to fix one of these? And she's like, no, but my dad does. And I was like, oh, it's probably a good time to have a dad in your life after all. She brought this up to my mom when we finally got home, and she was like, Vinayak just asked me where his dad was. I was overhearing this whole conversation. My mom replied back with, he's probably off with a bunch of hookers. I'm 6 years old. I don't know what a hooker is. But I need to find my father. So I go onto Google and look up, where can I find a hooker? For the longest time, I thought my dad was in a place called Craigslist. I toured India like a couple years ago. And here's the thing about me touring India. I look like them, but I don't speak like them. So they were confused the moment I got on stage. Like, it took like 5 minutes for them to be like, oh yeah, he talks like a white guy, but he is brown. It's okay. And usually it would work out. I got them to laugh. It was all good. But this one show in Calcutta, this one dude in the front row was looking at me all upset. And I did not know why, did not want to address it, just did my set, went backstage. He follows me, and he's like, look, if I wanted to see an Indian talk like a white guy, I would have watched the American Spelling Bee. Now my mom and I, we joke about the fact that I don't have a dad, she doesn't have a husband. Hey, we make fun of it. I think this is the best example. She wants me to get married to an Indian girl. She talks about all the time. I'm like, Ma, if you want me to get married so badly, why don't you do it again and show me it works? And to this, she responds back with, if I get with a man and he meets you, he's going to leave me. That is what happened the last time. Hey, you guys have been wonderful. Thank you for your time. Please welcome your host back to the stage.
This has been a Funny Media Group production.